Oh gosh, 844-4083-8102.
Hi, Neva.
They're not letting me join.
Hey, Hope, don't hit the end meeting a button again.
Right.
Click join.
How are you,
Okay.
Bart?
I'm doing great there. David, how are you, buddy?
Good, good. You still in Florida?
No, I'm here in New York.
Oh, you made it back?
761.
Hi, David.
Hey, Neil.
Hey, everybody.
Good to see you.
Good to see you all.
Is everyone there? Because I got that.
Ooh.
Ooh. Hi, Mr. Grimaldi.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
All right.
Good. Let me see.
Could I ask some, do we take public comment in the beginning, or is it after each one of these items on the agenda? Because I only see it in 4.2. I don't see it anyplace else.
The public comments will be, I believe, only after the local law, the public hearing.
Those comments relate only to the local law, or could it be anything?
I believe just the local law.
So,
And if the supervisor wants to ask for public comments afterwards.
So public comments during the public hearing should be only on the topic of the public hearing.
Correct.
okay.
And then I guess, Hope, later in the agenda, you have a public comment period for anything that's of interest to the town?
Jeff, could you answer that?
That's
It's up to the supervisor, right?
Gary can suspend that if anyone has a specific comment on any
Right after
particular
this one?
agenda item.
Yes.
Usually public comment on a particular.
I was going to make a comment.
Do they know you're
Hi,
on?
Jill.
Hi, how you doing? I was
Fine,
gonna
thank
try
you.
to
How are
join
you?
on my computer, on my laptop, if that's easier, but I didn't have the link for the Zoom meeting, so. Is this okay on my phone?
You're good.
Right. Do you want me to send it to you again?
Can you send it to me as an email? Because I think it's just easier if I could use this laptop.
Sure. Mhm.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Once I get it, I'll log off and.
Bart, what do you want to comment on? Anything in particular? Or?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the local law about the income and expense reports.
Mm-hmm. I think that Gary will allow, let's see what he says, but I'm hopeful he'll allow public comment just after that item has been.
That is agenda item 4.2, actually.
And Jeffrey, you said the staff has what?
I'm sorry?
Did you say the staff has done something?
No, I said I hope Gary will allow, I'm assuming Gary will allow public comment after we've taken up the agenda item. At the
Yeah,
end.
well, it is a public hearing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if there isn't the ability to do public comment during a public hearing, you know it's just going to run straight to a 78.
Right. Oh, no, on the agenda, there is a time for public comments from the public. I thought you were asking about other items on the agenda.
No, we have people in this Zoom meeting who are here for other items. So as we take up those other items, we'll see if Gary allows public comment on those items right after they're taken up, as opposed to at the end of public, of the public comment section. So,
Right. I'm just here for the one item.
okay.
After the item is, public hearing is adjourned and the deliberation of the council is finished, you'll see me exit.
You're welcome to stay as long as you want, as always.
To hear that
Thank
part?
you very much.
Hope, were you
Well,
able
you
to
know,
reach
I
the
really
other
didn't
gentleman?
expect anything else from the Learners
Yes.
Council.
Yes.
Pardon me,
Mr.
Bart.
Okay,
Hope, were you able, Gary's having, all right, were you able to get to the other gentleman I had texted? And-
Yes, I
and-
did. Jill, you
Neil,
received it.
Hey, Joe.
Neil,
Back.
Neil, I assume you're going to comment on the I&E as well?
Oh, that's correct, David.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm with you on that. though.
Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, I have to write my stuff down. You know how that goes.
Okay.
Richard's trying to connect. Yes, Debbie, I sent Michael on the link. Hi, Paul.
No, thank you.
Let me try.
Yeah, David, I've actually been back.
You've been back for a while?
Oh, good. Okay, Denise is in now, right?
I'm here.
Okay.
Tommy here yet?
I'm not sure Tommy's coming. I think he said he wasn't going to be able to make it.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Look at all these faces.
Oh, now I'm back. Okay. Bye.
There it is.
Hey, Bart,
Disappeared, Bart.
Bart, does this look familiar?
Yeah, it does. That, you know, Jeffrey, that means just sign the bottom and don't even look at the back because
Oh my God, how much is that? Oh, shit.
there's 80 years of court precedents in that contract.
Okay.
What's the matter?
Yes. So David, I've been back since June.
Okay. Wow, if you were going to be stuck anywhere during the pandemic, you picked a good spot. Yeah.
I did make a run to California last month. I just got out of quarantine today.
What part of California?
We went to Westport, California, which is in Mendocino County, about 2 hours north of San Francisco. We rented a house that was on a bluff over the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, that must have
Yeah,
been
we
beautiful.
haven't seen my son, our son, in 8 months. And we were like, you know what, we're just going and we'll deal with the consequences when we get back.
Mm. Must have been beautiful there.
This whole COVID thing is, you know, is just a political ruse. Come November 4th, everything's gonna be open, everybody's gonna be back to work, the restaurants are gonna be open, and things will be back to normal.
Bart,
gonna-
That's my prediction.
no
it's gonna
public
be-
comments from you.
It's going to be the 4th and not the 5th. Is that what you're saying?
Why? There we are. All right. I see Pam.
Present.
Lindsay's here. Jill's here.
Yeah, Neil Pagano's here, so we're ready to get started.
I see Neil. How you doing, Neil?
How doing, Supervisor? How you look? You're looking good to me.
We have a full house tonight.
I know. This is the most I've ever seen at a meeting.
Yeah, if we had it in person, we wouldn't be able to have it anyway.
Right.
Okay. Did I saw Lindsay, right? Yeah. Lindsay, Jill, me,
Pam.
and Pam. Okay. Now, when have you ever seen a board with a quorum, almost all women? Lady
Sure.
count.
Not
Bring it.
nearly enough.
Very refreshing, Gary.
It's good to see you, Neil. It's
Good
been
to
a
see you
while.
too. Hope it always is.
And all parties, a Democrat, a Republican, and a conservative. Mixed bag. All right. Are we ready to start? Is Debbie on?
Debbie's here.
Okay. Who's running it? Neva, you running it? Is Neva
Yes.
running the show? Okay. So, I don't see Debbie. Oh, there she is. Debbie has the flag. So,
Mhm.
we're ready to rock and roll?
Yes.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Rye Town Council meeting of September 15th, 2020. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to
to
the
the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
Indivisible, with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Amen.
Roll call, please, Hope.
Councilperson Jill Axelrod,
Present.
Councilperson Lindsay Jackson,
Present.
Councilperson Pamela Jaffe,
Present.
Councilperson Thomas Nardi, absent, and Supervisor Gary Zuckerman.
I'm here. Thank you. Sorry for the late start. I guess we had some technical difficulties. Let's do adoption of minutes. The meeting held August 18th. We have a motion and a second. If there are no additions or corrections, to accept the meeting.
I so move to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
We now have a public hearing on local law number 2 of 2020, the income and expense statement law. It's a public hearing, so may I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now, I have a question for Hope. How does this work, Hope, with the public hearing? I see we have several participants on Zoom who I believe wish to speak. What about the people who are not on Zoom? How do we get them in?
Everyone that requested to be to be at the meeting has received the link. And we do have a few people that are here.
And there are
Okay.
people on Facebook, I believe, Gary.
Okay, good. And who's receiving the comments from Facebook? Is that
I'm watching.
okay? So let me just say at the outset that this public hearing will not be concluded tonight. A resolution will not be passed tonight. We will hold it open till next month in October. Let me just state what this is about. Somebody needs to mute. Somebody needs to mute, please. This local law amends the current local law passed several years ago regarding commercial properties and income and expense statements. The current local law provides that an income and expense statement must be filed when any commercial property holder, that's non-homestead property owners, file a grievance. If they do not file an income and expense statement, then their application will be denied. They will not have a hearing and the application will be denied. This law expands that to require income and expense statements of all commercial property owners, whether or not they file a grievance. And the purpose of this law is for the town to maintain as accurate an assessment record as possible. You know, I've said this before at many hearings. It is not the purpose of the town to increase assessments beyond the fair market value. The local taxing jurisdictions, the town, and especially the schools and villages, will set a tax rate based on the money that they need to raise, not by what the assessment of the property is. The assessment of the property seeks only to make sure that each property pays its fair share of taxes based on the value of the property. I received one letter, and by the way, Hope,
Yes.
Hope, we've received several letters, one of which you managed to get on the agenda. We've received several letters since then. Would you please look at those letters and add them all to the official record of this meeting?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And as I say, I received one letter that mentioned, more than one letter that mentioned the revaluation. Revaluation occurs approximately every 6 years. The town has to maintain an accurate assessment roll every year to maintain its 100% market rate value for the Office of Real Property Tax. So this is an effort on behalf of the town to get the most accurate assessment roll that we can possibly get. And that's the purpose. And I say that knowing that it may be a burden on some property owners. I hope that it is not a great burden. I would hope that businesses, in the course of their business dealings, prepare their own income and expense statements for their own purposes, and that can easily be submitted to the assessor to help her in determining the proper value. With that said, the public hearing is open, and let's talk. Hope you're in charge of, you're the clerk, you're in charge of recognizing whoever seeks to be recognized.
Okay, before you go further, I did upload a second letter submitted. from Mr.
Yeah.
Abercroft. Mhm.
Yeah, I saw that letter. I think there may have been a third. I'm not sure.
Okay,
Whatever it is, whatever's been submitted, we'll
I'll make
upload.
sure I place it on
Yeah,
the record.
make part of the record. All right, does anybody wish to speak at this public hearing?
Neil, Mr. Pagano?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Am I up?
Yes, you are.
Very good.
Mr. Mayor, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and thank you, members of the council, for allowing me the opportunity to address you tonight. I'm here to speak in opposition, obviously, to proposed law number 2. And you'll forgive me, but I've reduced my comments to paper, so I don't forget anything, Gary. And I get nervous whenever I talk in public, so I am somewhat unaccustomed to public speaking, especially to members of the press, which we both know about. So we start off. Yet another regulatory burden is being proposed to be put upon commercial real property owners in the town of Rye. Number 1, consider, if you will, of the impact on property owners who fail to file. Penalties ranging from 3% to 5% on the assessed value. You know, I took a sampling of 5 dozen or so properties on the east and west side of North Main Street, certain properties in and around Westchester Avenue, Broad, and Pearl, and calculated an average assessed valuation of approximately, this is average, $1.4 million. And that's on the proposed, not on the proposed new assessments, it's on the current assessment. Should a property owner fail to file, the penalty of between 3% and as much as 5% would actually fall in the range of from $42,000 to $70,000 based on the average assessments that I put together. And those records are available if anybody is interested enough to see them. Now, if we use the proposed or the preliminary assessed value and apply the same 3% to 5% penalties, the average runs to 1.9 million on the proposed or the preliminary AVs. Those figures, using the average of 1.9 million and applying 3 to 5% penalty fee, would yield a penalty of $57,000 to $95,000. Frankly, this is unprecedented and it's punitive. Number 2, I have to ask that once the surge of information is gathered, what will the measured cost to the taxpayer be to process it, and what will processing it look like? Will you have to hire additional staff, outside consultants, or do you expect your existing staff of 4 to absorb the additional workload for analysis every 12 months, on top of all of their other duties? Or will the confidential source material end up on a shelf gathering dust because there are just not enough hours in the day to manage it? Number 3, once the information is gathered, who's going to be responsible for the analysis? And how will that analysis help, hurt, or have no effect on the valuation process? For example, will staff or a designated member have to be tasked to arrive at a cap rate for each property, or some other means of arriving at a value for a property? And if so, how will that information then be applied to the commercial buildings across the board? Will the results be global, one size fits all? It couldn't possibly be that way. And I would certainly hope that it could never be that way. Number 4, no business person is ever thrilled to share confidential information and personal business information with anyone, let alone a governmental entity. On the contrary, such disclosure is always done with a serious concern that somehow the security system developed to protect the information will break down and fall apart. The penalties you propose for the unauthorized release of this information is frankly woefully inadequate when weighed against the penalties you propose for someone who doesn't file the required reports. If you are serious about passing on this law in its present form, then you should become equally as serious in imposing penalties for unlawful disclosure and thereby give the property owner at least some additional assurances of security. Increase the $1,000 fine to $25,000. Impose stricter prison sentences. And if it's an employee, not only immediate dismissal from office, but loss of benefits as well as the $25,000 fine. Mr. Supervisor and council members, with all respect, I urge you to vote down this proposal.
So,
In my opinion, this is a bad and ill-conceived law. Similar to the recent revow experience, this is no time to experiment with new legislation that places any further burden on commercial property owners already tasked with issues well beyond the filing out and submitting of another report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Pagano. May I ask you a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Would your feelings be different if the penalties for non-filing were decreased and the penalties for unlawful disclosure increased?
Mr. Supervisor, those are both good questions. I'd have to see the results. I couldn't answer it just in the abstract that way.
All right.
Well, there are other communities and other municipalities that impose, once a law like this is put on the books, they're imposed at a much, much lower level. But part of the process has always got to be, in my opinion, a clear explanation how that information is going to be used. And as I mentioned earlier, as I asked earlier, if it's global, is it a cap rate? Who develops the cap rate? And I've had enough experience with cap rates that it can become so subjective, it's a sin.
I understand your position. As I said, this public hearing will remain open and we will consider everybody who speaks.
Thank you, Gary.
This is not a, as I say, a done deal. The pie has not yet been baked.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Who's next?
Any other comments? Mr. Trustee Didden? You may speak now.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. You know, I'm not here in my trustee capacity this evening. So, you know, Mr. Didden or just Bart, or, you know, you can kick me like everybody else does. That's fine. You know, I echo all the comments of former Mayor Pagano, who so eloquently put so many of the issues forward. And I disagree with the supervisor in his assumption that just because somebody owns a business property that they create income and expense statements or profit and loss statements. I have a number of buildings, not just in Portchester, but elsewhere. And they are closely held entities, and we don't produce that paperwork. You know, it's duplication. So I wouldn't go so far to say that people actually produce those in closely held relationships. This requirement is no different than I have in the state of Connecticut on various properties. However, the penalty is unconscionable compared to the value of the data that is going to be received by the town. In one municipality in Connecticut, the fine for not filing on time is only 5% of the tax levy. So $10,000 levy, $500 fine. And it only lasts that year. This is much different than by using your numbers, $1 million property having a $30,000 potential fine. And who creates the fines? because your law says up to 3% on the first year, and I think up to 4 or 5 in the second or third year. How subjective? How can you put a town employee in the mix like that to say, well, you know what, Mr. Pagano, you only get a 1% penalty, but you, Mr. Didden, because you know, you are an outspoken person and, you know, commented about town affairs before, you know, you get 3%. How is that fair and equitable? The other question I have is, with such direct information about the profitability of a property and the fact that assessments change every year, even though there's a global reval, there's individual adjustments that go on every year. Is the town in a position to take the income and expense report and that, as Mayor Pagano was alluding to, and talk about the cap rate? And because I have properties that the Village of Portchester has harmed and that I can't rent in a reasonable manner and churn no profit or minimal profit. Is the assessor going to take my submission each year, even if she has or he has the ability to audit it? And when they see that I tell the truth, as I always do, are they going to crank down my assessment on the following year? Is it going to be that linearly connected to the tax roll? I can only pray that that is the end result. And I understand your comment better than most people that about fair market value, and that the assessment does not, you know, relate to the levy. The levy is based on the total levy divided by the assessment of all the members in that class. If the town of Rye really wanted to be thoughtful and fair and equitable, the town board would pass a law that removed the homestead provision from the current tax system and treat everybody equally, whether it was commercial or residential. And I know the homestead is not the topic of this issue, but the homestead issue was always designed to put in fairness when a reval happened, that over the first 5 years, the difference would become negligible. But there are political leaders, even in Portchester, who don't see the value of treating everybody fairly. You people can make a difference. So in summary, I'm not opposed to sharing the information, but I'd like to know, have any of your council or management there at the town talk to the state of New York to see if our filings are beyond the FOIL request? Because there are so-called journalists in this town who have publications that are vindictive and think that it's fun to expose the haves and have-nots, or those who have taken risk and made investments in this town versus those who don't.
Mr. Didden.
You can't protect the information.
Mr. Didden, please stick to the topic.
Well, it is part of the topic because it's part of the law, because if you can protect the information, it would be inside of this law. So it's directly on point, Mr. Supervisor. And that's my opinion. And until Mr. Binder can cite, some other contradicting information, I think my position is fair and reasonable. So
I believe, Bart, that the law specifically says it's not subject to FOIL.
well, okay. I'll take Mr. Binder's word because, Mr. Supervisor, as I'm going to, with all due respect, I'm not an attorney. I don't believe that you're an attorney. I could be wrong, but
You are.
so I defer to someone who has a shingle who I can hold responsible for a comment.
You can't hold Jeff responsible. You can hold me responsible at the next election. But yes, I am an attorney, Bart.
Okay. So my suggestion is for the punitive side is that you come up with a percentage of the levy and something that is not fatal, but something that is reasonable. So I think you have my comments. I think you understand where I am. I mean, I, more so than anybody that I know, wants to see correct and fair assessments. And I would love to see a statement from either the town council or the assessor's office that income and expense reports that are able to be protected will influence assessments year to year. So, Mr. Supervisor and Town Council, I thank you for the time and the opportunity in these very difficult times of pandemics to allow me, a resident of the town, to be able to come here and express my views. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your comments, Mr. Didden. They were, some of them were very, very well placed. I appreciate it. Hope, who's next?
Any other public comments? Does anyone else want to speak?
All right. Hearing none, we'll adjourn this public hearing.
Hello? Hello?
Oh,
Gary, do you hear Richard?
Can you
Okay.
hear me?
yes, Richard, would you like to speak? Would you like to
Yes,
comment?
please. Yes,
Okay.
please. My
Okay,
name's
you're.
Richard Abel.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm Richard Abel. I live in Portchester, and I would like to just say that this is like deja vu. I was wondering if Gary could answer a question about, is this a Hillendale thing? Because Joe Carvin brought this up when he lived on Hillendale, the exact same type of law or similar law, and actually the compromise was that it's just they couldn't get the income and expense reports from commercial properties, and they said, okay, let's change it to be only for people who file a grievance so that the town has the ability to fight that grievance with the information. They could be on an equal footing. But to require every commercial property in the town of Rye to submit that information just seems like going way overboard. There's also, I think, in state law that, and Gary, you're an attorney, maybe you can look into this if I'm wrong, but you cannot collect information you're not going to use. A government cannot collect information and have it sit on a shelf like that, especially with fines and all that other stuff. So the thing is you have to use what you get. Now, I don't know how many commercial properties there are in the town, but there's a lot, and that's a lot of information that you're going to get. And I just don't see how you're going to process it in a timely manner so that because what happens if you can't process it within the year? That means some people that you process and some people that you don't process, it skips a year. In other words, some assessments change because of the information, because you have enough, you can process half of it and the other half has to wait till the following year. It doesn't seem right, and it doesn't seem fair and equitable. I think that the law, the way it is correct. I think the way the law, that if you're going to file a grievance against your assessment, then you have to prove to the town that the numbers are wrong. This is just looking to collect information that I don't see the actual purpose. Actually, the town spends a lot of money doing the assessment. And every 6 years we do a full assessment, as we just did. Are you saying that you don't think those numbers are accurate? Is that what you're saying by this? That you need more information to make those numbers, that they're so far off that you don't have the right information? I really, that's real sad comment on the assessment then. And it shouldn't be that way. I believe that a fair assessment's a fair assessment. Obviously, if you're overassessed, you'll complain and you're willing to give up the information. If you're underassessed, you don't say anything. Okay, I get that. But what you're looking to do is try to take anybody who might think they're underassessed and raise them. And I just don't, you're penalizing everybody for a few.
Richard, would you like me to comment?
Yes, please.
All right. Generally, this is the forum for the public to speak. But number one, and you're not the only one that said this, a couple of the other speakers, and also in at least one of the letters, if we are not going to, if there is no ability to use the information, then we're not going to go forward with this. I agree 100%. We don't need to collect information that we're not going to use. So we have to be sure that we can. As far as the, as I said earlier, the justification is to get a full and fair assessment. I would think that the collecting of the income and expense statement at this particular time will be less valuable than collecting it 2 or 3 years down the road, because we just underwent a full revaluation. And Tyler, in fact, had a great many income and expense statements that were filed, as far as I understand it. So this is in furtherance of that. If we cannot use this information, then we will not be going forward with this. This is a proposed law that is in effect in several other communities, not just the town of Rye. This is not inventing the wheel. So we will be looking at that, and I take all of your comments, everybody's comment, very seriously tonight.
Gary, I do have one additional question. The information that's collected is supposed to be private, correct?
Yes.
Nobody, this doesn't come under FOIL, I know that. Okay. But does the board itself get access to that information?
No.
Town board has no way to access that information?
They shouldn't. This is the assessor's information.
Okay.
I don't know about other communities, but I know that in this community, I don't believe that any member of the board, including myself, has ever interfered in the assessment of any property in the town of Rye.
No, my question was whether you can not interfere with it, but actually see the information that's submitted to the assessor.
No.
That's the question.
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Just because I know that all governments leak like a sieve, so, information leaks, so. Okay, well, thank you. And I recommend that this just be, especially at this time with businesses who are hurting so bad that, imposing another burden on them to submit forms.
It might be a burden. It might be a burden to do the information, but it may result in a decrease in the assessed value of the property, which would benefit them.
All
Okay, you know, I know that there's a suspicion of government, but I don't know that this government leaks like a sieve, as you suggest, and I take offense at that.
I said
And,
many governments, Gary.
well,
I didn't say this one, but it
well,
could be
I don't-
this one too.
I don't believe that this one does. And as far as I'm concerned, this is confidential information, and that the assessor does an excellent job of being totally objective in the assessments that comes out of her office. And this is just another attempt to make the assessments fair and equitable. That's all it is. So is that your comment, Richard? Do you have
Yeah,
something
I would
more?
just say I would not I'm not in favor of this law at all. I think that the law that exists now is working and should be, and this is not the time in the middle of a pandemic to add an extra burden on anyone. Okay, as it is, look, here's a public hearing we have to do on Zoom. We can't even meet in person. So I just think that this is just the wrong time for something like this. When times are good and things are going well, maybe then is the time for something like that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Richard. Does anybody else care to speak? Anybody else on the list?
Mr. Supervisor? If I have a quick question. Can the
Who's speaking?
Bart didn't.
Okay.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Bart.
Can the assessor tell us tonight, you know, if her office is in a position to use the income and expense report to as a tool for the annual adjustments and assessments?
No, she cannot.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, telling.
That doesn't mean the information won't come forward. Thank you. Oh, let me rephrase the answer. Bart, the answer to your question is not that she cannot tell whether she's going to use it. The answer to your question is no, she's not going to say anything tonight about it. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments?
All right, thank you. I appreciate all of the comments, and we'll take additional comments next month, and we'll go forward from there. All right, thank you. On to the next item.
Thank you.
Everybody's welcome to stay to the rest of the meeting. We always have an interesting meeting, although not as interesting as Bart Didden's Portchester meetings. Our next item is a presentation from Camille Meola about Crawford.
Gary,
Yes.
before you continue, I think that there was one of the authors of a letter we received, Aldo, who's on the line. I don't know if he would like to say something or.
Aldo, would you like to comment? Or we did submit your letter. But
Your
it's
letter's
good
in the
enough.
record. So.
My letter stands for what I need to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Excellent
you,
letter.
Aldo.
Thank you, Aldo.
Thank you for submitting it. Camille?
Yes, I'm ready. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'd just like to give you a brief overview of the activity that we're having at Crawford. Despite the pandemic, we have been very busy at Crawford Park. A lot of activity in our pavilion, as well as our sports fields, and there has been some minimal activity in the mansion itself. Year to date, we've had 201 events. That's combined the 3 different locations with a revenue of over $20,000. So we're very pleased with that, all things considered. Another item that has been a nice surprise for us is that there is a tremendous amount of recurring activity. And by that, I mean, in the pavilion, for example, we have yoga classes, art classes, fitness, Zumba, And in the pavilion, we have 18 events a week. In the soccer fields, we have 13 events. And in the mansion, we have 4 events. So in any given week, in the past month and a half, we've had 35 events taking place, which is really wonderful, all things considered. Moving forward, we have at least another 20 plus events planned for the next 2.5 months. I suspect that's going to increase. We have been receiving a number of inquiries with regard to using the mansion itself. And the pavilion, of course, is in use just about every weekend. So we're happy with the traffic that we have, and I think it's really going to continue to increase.
Thank you, Camille.
And
Any questions for Camille?
Camille, I just was interested in seeing, I know you have a separate section for reoccurring activity. Is the income from those activities included in the revenue and wages paid year to date?
Yes, it is. And I just want to add one more point of interest in that we have recently purchased sidewalls for the pavilion. So we will be able to extend the seasonal use of the pavilion, and it's going to look wonderful. We will share pictures hopefully the next council meeting.
And we're also possibly looking to put in heating elements to further extend it.
Camille, would you like to share information regarding the Rybrook Recreation after school drop-in?
I'll take that one. Thank you, Hope.
Okay.
I do want to just commend Camille and Vic for reaching out to the community and really working to bring in activities that would, bring revenue into Crawford Mansion Community Center and make it alive and make it the community center it's supposed to be and vital. What Debbie's going to talk about next is just a sheer service to the community. And I think it's fabulous. And I want to thank them for the hard work they're doing.
Thank you, Pam. On behalf of Camille and Vic, and I want to add my enthusiasm and admiration for the job that Camille and Vic are doing. I think they're working really hard, and I think they have the well-being of the community truly at the center of what they're working to accomplish. It's been great to work with them. I want to explain that the Village of Rybrook Recreation Department reached out to us when they learned that the after-school program that they run in the Blindbrook schools, it can no longer happen at the Blindbrook schools because of the pandemic. And the question was, would Crawford Mansion Community Center be an appropriate alternate location? We responded with the proposal that we could handle a drop-in program for the community's children run by Rybrook Recreation Department professionals 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, from directly after school 3 o'clock until 5:30. A flyer went out to the community about a week ago. We are waiting for registrations. I think Rybrook Rec needs to hear by, I believe, this coming Friday. And we'll need 40 kids registered in order to make a go of the program. So at the moment, we haven't heard from many families. There's not been much registration, but we're certainly hoping that there will be. And if not, if there's feedback from members of the community, we'd love to hear what that is.
I do believe that this is an extension of a program that Rybrook Rec has done in years past mostly for the elementary school students. That's taken place after school in BMP, correct?
It is for the elementary school kids, yes.
Right. So this is a program that in past years has been very popular, and it provides a service to working family members, which I think even in this day and age when we're all working from home, You know, you want to see your children being engaged, having a safe place to do homework, having adults around, while still being able to get your own grown-up work done. So, you know, thank you to the town and thank you to Rybrook Rec for trying to make this work. And I hope we can get the 40 families.
Thank you, Pam.
There's also another, oh, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
Okay. There's another matter that I'd like to bring to the council's attention. And the item is in the agenda that's regarding NBC and NBC television. The Great Hall is being rented by a news crew for 2 days, today and tomorrow, to conduct interviews. They'll be using the Great Hall, and the issue is how to charge them, because they really, television news does not have the kind of funds possible to buy out the entire mansion as a commercial organization might. We had some precedent for this in 2018 when, in fact, the same program was there conducting interviews. So I adjusted the same rate structure, charged them, and I just increased it by 4% for inflation. And so the rate is $89 an hour based on the 12 hours per day shoot. That rate structure was approved in 2018 by the council, but I wanted to bring it to your attention as well, since it's a revenue item.
I have two questions. One is just curiosity and what are they filming? And two, are they receptive to the fees?
Yes, they're receptive to the fees, and they're filming interviews.
I think Pam wants to know what kind of interviews.
I'm getting ready for my close-up now.
I believe the program is Dateline. Is that correct, Camille?
Yes, it is Dateline.
And go ahead.
It will be airing at some point in October, and they will certainly let us know when it will air.
Did they give you a briefing as to the subject matter?
No.
How how Crawford Park Mansion and Community Center would be credited? I mean, I would like to see more of a briefing on this just to make sure it's a positive piece before giving outright permission.
Okay.
Well, I think, Pam, that since they're already filming, it's a little bit late for that.
Right.
I think that it's an administrative decision, and when they asked me about it, I said, make sure we get credit. So I believe we will be credited, and Dateline, I mean, I don't think the show is not about the mansion or the park, correct, Debbie? Right. They're just using it as a background.
That's right.
Correct.
It's a beautiful space. In fact, the camera crew is the same camera crew that was here in 2018.
Did they make a comment as to how it looked differently?
Camille?
Of course.
Go ahead, Vic.
Yeah, of course. They love the place now. They remember the dump, as one of the guys said.
Maybe the next crew will be about the mansion and about the park. We'll see. I think what Debbie is asking is for permission to increase the fee by 4%.
That's
is that
fine.
correct, Debbie?
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Okay. So
I think also having Crawford Mansion, be the sort of setting for this national TV show is an honor. I'm really excited to hear.
So I know one member of my family likes to watch Dateline, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, so please note for the record that the council approved the
There's the 4% increase.
4% increase. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
All right. I think, is that it? Is that it for the presentation on Crawford Park tonight?
That's
Thank
it.
you, Camille.
Vic, am I forgetting anything?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good.
All right. Thanks, Vic. All right, we're on our resolutions. We have a resolution to waive a fee for Kerri Gawryn to utilize Crawford Park for a film. Debbie, you want to
Yes,
say what this is about?
we've been approached by Bob Johnson, former Portchester School Board trustee, who is very active with Lawn Chair Shakespeare Company. And he is working with a student from NYU on this film project. They brought it to us, and Ms. Gawryn would like to film a number of scenes at Crawford Mansion. And as she's a student, this is a student film with no money. She's asking for a waiver of our permit fees.
An email was sent out around about this earlier. The synopsis is in the agenda package. Actually looks pretty interesting, if any of you have read it. So may I have a motion and a second to waive the fee?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Who's
Do I hear, do I hear a
I was going
second?
to make the motion. Yes.
I'll second.
Thank you.
I'll
Call the roll,
stay out of
please.
it.
Sure. Councilperson Jill Axelrod?
My internet is.
Yeah. Okay.
That's you, Jill.
Okay.
Why don't we do it? This is not
Right.
a complicated matter.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you. The Sustainability Committee interns. Debbie, you want to talk about this?
Well, I will. However, I defer to Councilperson Jaffe as the chair of the committee.
Councilperson Jaffe, would you like to talk about it?
I'm very excited to talk about it. First off, I do want to welcome one of our new interns. She's in the Zoom with us today, but we're very lucky. We had 3 fabulous candidates to join us as interns to the Sustainability Committee this year. 2 are high school students, our high school seniors, one from Blindbrook and one from Rye High School. We also had a sophomore who is also from Rye High School, but we were very lucky to reach out to and tap Chloe Ng from Blindbrook High School and Hannah Adler from Rye High School as our interns for this year, in their senior year of high school. And then we already have an intern for next year. We're really excited to have Peter Nemeth on board as our 2021 intern. And as I said, Chloe is here. And if she'd like to speak, I'd invite her to. Chloe is the president of an organization at Blindbrook called Roots and Shoots, and it's a Blindbrook Sustainability club that she founded, actually based upon another national organization. But Chloe and Roots and Shoots are going to work with Debbie and me and Vic to host a treasure hunt in Crawford Park in October. So for 2 weeks in October, there's going to be a native bird treasure hunt for young community members and their parents to go through the park and find out things about native birds and native wildlife, possibly take part in fun actions and win little prizes for participating. But with that said, that will be October 3rd to 17th. But Chloe, if you want to chime in and say hi, we welcome you.
Hello, thank you everyone. I'm really excited for the treasure hunt at Crawford Park, and it's been really nice being at this meeting.
Thank you for coming here.
Thank you for joining us. And honestly, we took a couple months off at the Sustainability Committee because of pandemic, of course, but we have a great group of people. We're really looking forward to a ton of activities from now through the spring. Vic, Debbie, and I hoofed around Upper Westchester this weekend. We're looking at native gardens around communities so that we can possibly build in a native garden at Crawford Park. And I know there's interest to do the same at Rytown Park. We're working with the various villages to try to get the cleanup day that was canceled this spring back on for the fall, doing invasive weed cleanups, beach cleanups, and eventually hopefully making a community garden at Crawford Park. And our interns are going to be a huge part of that process. We are kind of dividing and conquering who's doing what based upon location. But I'm really happy with the committee and looking forward to seeing what we can get done this year.
That's terrific. Thank you, Pam. That's wonderful. We have to have a resolution because of insurance reasons. So
There is a resolution. I typed
I
it.
know. I know it.
Okay.
I'm looking for it now.
It's on the
There it is.
second page, right?
Yes. Town of Rye Sustainability Committee.
It's on the page 21 of iCompass.
So
I'm looking at I'm just looking at one of two. I'm looking at the, oh, I see it. It's on page 2.
On the second page, right?
See it resolved at the following meeting.
Right. So may I have a motion and a second? I don't think we need to read that. That the resolve that the following be deemed volunteers for the town of Rye during the course of their membership and are therefore insured under the town NYMER general liability policy, which is why we're doing this. Everybody has to be insured. Motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And I will thank you both.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you.
Right.
And
Okay, let's go.
Our interns are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if they'd like, or if not, that's their choice.
I don't believe Hannah is here, but if she is, please feel free to speak up.
Pam, didn't I meet some of these young interns at a different event?
Most likely. You have definitely met, my daughter is one of the interns, and she's been traipsing around with us to all of our various wildlife things.
I think, and one of the
and you probably met at the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, at Crawford.
I do know a bunch of them did come and participate. Chloe, you might want to let me know if any of them were speakers at that, but I know they were, a good few of them were there marching.
Okay. Our next item is the
Bocce court.
Gary, Leslie Finley has been waiting for a while, I think.
That would be the next one. Anyway.
It's okay.
All right, we'll skip to Leslie. SoulRyeders request to the Crawford Park for tie the park pink for 2020.
Right.
Leslie, welcome again. Leslie presented earlier at the Rye Town Park Commission meeting, and she had to wait a long time. I'm sure she had dinner in the meantime. So.
A bowl of popcorn, but thank you very much. Thank you, Supervisor and other council members. I appreciate the chance to come and speak to you. 2020 is the 7th annual campaign, our Tie the Town Pink campaign for SoulRyeders. For anyone who's not familiar with SoulRyeders, we are a local nonprofit. We're based in Rye, and we support anyone affected by any type of cancer. So therefore, this campaign, this year's Tie the Town Pink campaign, is broadening our scope to align with our mission. So we're trying to bring awareness to everyone for all cancer screenings. This pandemic has really limited people's access to doctors. People are afraid to go out and get their cancer screenings. So we're trying to bring awareness, saying it's safe to do that now. Please go and follow up with your doctors. Last year, we were invited by Supervisor Zuckerman to begin tying ribbons in Crawford Park. We do have a group of volunteers in Rye Brook that have been very active over the last few years with this campaign.
and they did tie a few ribbons in that park, and we would like to do that again. And then at the end of the campaign, we will go back and remove them as well.
Thank you. Any questions from any of the council members?
I think it's a fantastic idea. And thank you for expanding to Crawford.
We're really thrilled. One of the other things we're doing with this campaign is all of the local businesses that have supported us over the last 2 years, we are actually donating ribbons to them to support them and thank them for the generosity that they give us all year. And we know how tough business is for them right now. So it's just a little something that we can do to give back to them. But thank you very much.
And Leslie, if somebody wants to get a ribbon at their home, how would they do that? Where would they make a donation?
They can go on to SoulRyeders.org, SoulRyeders.org, and you can, it's all over the homepage. Click onto that. The ribbons are $25 each. That is a straight donation. And if you're in the vicinity of Rye Brook, Harrison, Rye Neck, and now the Byram Hills community, we will actually deliver them and tie them on, on your mailbox or wherever you direct us to do that.
Great.
And so far, we've sold over 450 ribbons, which is actually far above what we've done in the past at this point. So we're hoping that this annual tradition is sort of bringing a little hope to everybody now, and we are really so appreciative of it.
It's a wonderful tradition, and thank you for doing this.
No, thank you. Oh, and one more thing with the sustainability. This is the last year for the ribbons. We are using up all of our current inventory, and we are researching other more sustainable methods of promoting this for next year. And we're really excited to start doing some of that research.
Thank you. And let us know if we can help.
I absolutely will. I'll contact you.
Thank you.
That's what the Sustainability Committee is for.
Yeah, no, and now you've got some great interns. I'd love to start brainstorming with them.
We do have a meeting tomorrow at 5:30 if you want to just drop by.
Oh.
Happy to send you the information.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. So I don't know that we need a formal motion. I think that we are all agreed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And let the clerk note that for the record.
Mhm.
That we approve SoulRyeders' request to tie the town pink.
I do want to I sat in on the last meeting, and I don't know if you're going to bring this up here, but I do love the focus on self-care as well. You're doing something special at the Labyrinth at Right Town Park, but definitely, having people go out and get screened and see a doctor and overcome that fear, but also just to take some time for themselves because it's been stressful and awful and hard on people. So thank you.
Oh, no, you're welcome. Thank you very much. The programs have been really phenomenal online, and I've actually made a note of Crawford Mansion in your pavilion, so I'm going to take a look and do some research there. Maybe we can expand.
Yeah, and you're welcome to do a meditation at Crawford Park as well. There's some lovely, we have lovely areas for you to do that.
That's wonderful.
Take a ride up there.
Well, thank you. We love partnering with you.
It's terrific. Thank you. I'm a survivor myself, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're a heck of a representative. Thank you.
Thank you. Next
Thank you,
on.
Leslie.
Thank you all.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, the
The
bocce
next
court.
one is back to the bocce court. All right, this is to award the bid for the bocce court to Cirone Construction as the lowest responsible bidder. In the packet is the bid analysis, the bid letter. It was actually a close bid, and the winning bid is the low bid was $138,000. And before we vote on this, I'd just like to say, we've been talking about this for some time, and we do not expect that the full cost of construction will be borne by the town of Rye. We have considerable interest in donations to fund this. And actually, that's how it started. And we also are hoping to get a grant from the state of New York for this as well, through the Office of Shelley Mayer as a SAMS grant. And the beauty of this, I know that Bocce is largely associated with our Italian American community, but this is a sport that has no restrictions on age, on sex, on ability. It's on flat ground, so persons who are less abled can participate in this. Old people can compete against young people or with each other. Men can compete with and against women. And it's a great social activity. I know that in this time of COVID, it's a little bit more difficult, but we don't expect the construction to be underway for some time, and hopefully that problem will disappear. And even though we're going to award the contract tonight, or award the low bid tonight, we don't expect to sign a contract until we have our funding fully in place. That may necessitate, the bidder will have the opportunity after 90 days to withdraw the bid. We're hoping that the bid will stay until the period of time when we can actually engage in construction. So with that, may I have a motion and a second, and then I'll take any questions if you would like to ask them.
I'll move.
Motion and a second, please. Second,
I'll
please.
second. I'll second.
Okay. Are there any questions? Not hearing any. Please call the roll, Hope.
Councilperson Jill Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Lindsay Jackson,
Yes.
Councilperson Pamela Jaffe,
Yes. I do want to
Supervisor-
ask Lindsay, sorry, if she's
Oh,
played
sorry.
bocce.
Plenty of times.
Okay, sorry.
Just-
Gary?
Yeah.
Well,
Being an Italian girl.
I have in fact played bocce.
They have a bocce court at the University of New Hampshire campus, which I didn't realize. So
They
that's
do.
what I thought of Lindsay.
Yeah. We're trying to recruit her daughter for UNH, so.
Okay. I
and
didn't vote yet.
Supervisor Zuckerman, right.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
The next two items are tax certs. Jeff and Denise, one of you take these, please. Jeff,
Sure.
you're
Sure. VLS Realty is what's now a and has been for several years, a non-functioning restaurant on Post Road across from the Lowe's Shopping Center. This
otherwise known as
Pacifico?
It used to be Pacifico, then it was Il Suono.
Yeah.
Right on the corner of Post Road and Regent Street.
Yep.
Right. So this, Reval has brought that down, brought the assessment down, and this is just smoothing out some years that the Reval doesn't cover. And then the next one is a very small single-family home in Mamaroneck. The refunds are minimal. Relatively minor.
I find it unusual that we have a single family home in the tax cert court.
Occasionally it comes up rather than go through the SCAR process or after going through the SCAR process, they open up a case. It's usually done as a favor to the owner by counsel who may be handling, other matters for the owner. Maybe the owner is in the real estate business. I'm not sure if that's the case here, but we do get them.
All right. I think we can take these two together.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there are any questions, may I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
I can second.
Thank you. Hope, please call the roll.
Yes. Councilperson Jill Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Lindsay Jackson,
Yes.
Councilperson Pamela Jaffe,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes.
Okay.
And The next item is yours, Jeff, the increase to Martha.
Right, so our town prosecutor, Martha Sokol McCarty, has requested an increase to her monthly billables based on the increased workload that has accumulated now over the last 5 months or so since COVID hit. She actually hasn't billed the town for the last 5 months, and now she's getting back at it, and she has to do a whole bunch of more work to inform defendants as to when they have to appear. And she's represented to me that her workload has increased substantially, and she would appreciate it if the town would temporarily allow her to bill an extra $500 a month between now and December to compensate her, I think, fairly for the increased work that she's going to take on.
Any questions? We're actually paying less for the year. We're paying less for the year because she hasn't billed us the $1,000 a month for 5 months. So
this is through December. Are we going to look to reevaluate again come January?
Yep.
Yes.
It'll have to be re-upped, or we'll have to pass another resolution continuing that if the workload is similarly heavy.
Well,
yeah, and we also
Be part of the budget.
What was that, Debbie?
I said it could be a bit budget. If you're recommending that she receive an increase, that will be part of the budget.
Correct.
I'm going to reevaluate it in December with her.
we also have to make a determination, and we don't know that starting May 15th, if the Portchester Justice Court is dissolved and the Rye Town Court is expanded, whether or not there'll be more work for the town prosecutor. We don't know the answer to that yet. All right. I may have a motion in a second.
So moved.
I'll second.
Who seconded it?
Lindsay, right?
Lindsay.
Oh, Lindsay.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Yes. Councilperson Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
Councilperson Jaffe,
Yes.
Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes.
Okay.
And the next item is to engage Associated Glass and Mirror for tempered glass protective panels. Debbie, you want to take this one?
Oh, yeah. Sure. So this is very straightforward. We are engaging Associated Glass to put in tempered glass partitions around the workspaces within the town offices so that to help protect the staff from the COVID-19 virus, which, as we have learned, is aerosolized. And I want to commend Vic Federico on a yeoman's job in sourcing multiple bids for this and working through tropical storms and major hospitalized illnesses on the part of our vendors and supply chain challenges due to the pandemic. This was quite a lift. So thank you.
For a couple of panels.
Yeah, right. Well, we do have a rather oddly shaped office ceiling, which caused some complexity to the job.
Do we know, because I'm very well aware of sort of the shortage or lack of availability of these protective panels, et cetera, do we have a time frame as far as delivery?
He's ready to install.
Installation. Oh, great.
Yeah.
And question from Miss Sustainability over here. Most places are using plexi, but we're using tempered glass, which I do thank you because it's a better resource, but safety-wise, weight-wise, I would just love to.
Vic, this one's for you.
Pam, the way it's going to be fastened to the petitions, there'll be no problem, no difference than if it was plexiglass. It's also better for a longer period of time in case we leave it there forever. Plexiglass will over time taint as far as, you know, the, to be able to see through it.
Scratches.
So glass will be good for pretty much ever. And that was the choice of going with glass, was that it's long-term.
Okay. Thank you for your legwork there and your research.
Thank you.
Now, does the plexiglass, I know the, or I'm sorry, the tempered glass, I know the plexiglass has to be cleaned with specific material, et cetera, to avoid scratching, et cetera. Tempered glass is just Windex, right?
Yes, yep.
Perfect.
No shortage on vinegar in the pandemic, so that's good.
All right, good. May I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Call the
Please
roll.
call the roll. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
and Councilperson Jaffe,
Yes.
Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes, thank you. Our last resolution is approving a settlement for an interim foreclosure matter relating to 28.5 Pilgrim Drive in Portchester. And I am well aware that we have received several letters on this. And I see the attorney for one of the parties is in our meeting, Mr. Grimaldi. So I know that he's anxiously awaiting this. Jeff, you want to tell us exactly what is involved here, please?
Sure. In 2018, I brought an in rem foreclosure case against a group of properties that owed property taxes after at least 2 years. It was probably mostly 3. But one of the properties was a property at 28.5 Pilgrim Drive. And the arrearages on that was over $30,000. And the owners of the property, the Garrities, have now offered to settle the matter. And the settlement terms are in the resolution. And that will conclude our efforts to recapture as much, if not all, of the property taxes that are owed, with legal fees as well. And we basically waived some of the penalties. And this property has been the subject of litigation, I guess, going back to 2009, around there. Several in rem actions, and there's a history of the litigation, which Mr. Grimaldi may enlighten us to, but it's my recommendation to the board to conclude this matter as it relates to the back taxes owed, because actually, when taxes are not paid, the town has to pay those, and so this would be reimbursing the town. And it's my recommendation that we conclude this matter and issue a certificate of redemption to the Garrities.
All right, now, this is a legal matter. So there will be no discussion of any legal matters in public. It's up to the council as to whether you would like further discussion in executive session. If you would like to do that, I'd like you to tell me. Otherwise, Jeff has submitted a confidential memorandum to the council outlining some of the things he just said. In executive session, we could go into perhaps more detail, but that's up to the council to decide. Before I ask for any kind of a motion, what do the council members wish to do with this? Any comment? Pam, Jill, Lindsay?
I mean, I would feel comfortable if we did go into a brief executive session to discuss, because it is a complex legal matter.
I agree. We've
All
had
right. May I have a motion? May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to go into executive session.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Neva, are you in charge?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please, the only ones in the executive session will be the council, the attorney, the town administrator, and hope you wish or not to wish to be in the executive session. You don't have to be. If you want to stay out,
I'll come in.
okay.
Since I've been involved somewhat
That's
over the
why-
years.
That's why I asked you, because you know the
Right.
people. All right, so only those people, everybody else off camera until we come back into regular session. Okay?
You can put them all in the waiting room if you'd like to, as the administrator. Are you familiar with that process?
She's doing it right now.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Grimaldi.
Mr. Grimaldi.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Debbie, do I click on start recording or are you done?
I heard Miss Debbie, I think.
I think we have to stop recording.
Yeah.
For an executive session. Is that what we
Yes.
do?
Stop recording.